gentlemen, can I have your attention? If you'd like to pay attention down here, gather around for just a moment. Over here in the corner. I think all of you know me. I'm Rich Musin. I'm the co-chair of the Water Council with Paul Jones. You know, recently we had a new governor elected in Wisconsin in the past year, and one of the things he announced on the day that he was elected was that Wisconsin is open for business. And we knew at that moment that we were looking at a new opportunity in this state. Because this was a governor who, long before he was governor, was involved with the Water Council. He knew exactly what we were about, he knew what we were doing, and he was absolutely supportive of everything we were doing. And I was very excited to know that we had a governor in Madison who was opening the state for business and opening the state more specifically for water business. And so we've been very fortunate to have him and his entire administration backing us and supporting us and helping us bring events like this to you and bring water technology to southeastern Wisconsin, to the state of Wisconsin, and to the world. So we're very fortunate to have him, and I really have the very great honor and pleasure of introducing to you for a few comments my good friend, Governor Scott Walker.
Thanks. Well, you're right. Boy, after an introduction like that, I should just say thank you all for being here and step off the stage, because I can never compete with Rich's enthusiasm between Rich and Paul and the great team, Dean and everybody else who's been a part of not only this event, but for the last almost 5 years, right, working on the Water Council, and many of you here as well. We appreciate that. We're truly blessed. We're blessed for a couple different reasons. Certainly blessed on a day like today coming in. I've got 2 high school sons, so in our house we talk about the Brewers and the Packers and the Badgers, and I guess these days we're a little bit blessed there. But we're particularly blessed when you think of being here in Wisconsin, particularly in southeastern Wisconsin, and it's abundantly clear with the backdrop. I couldn't pick a better backdrop than standing right here. But we're blessed for a couple reasons. One, we certainly have an abundant, not only abundant blessings, but an abundant freshwater supply right behind us, one of the largest in the world, the largest in the world when you think of the Great Lakes. Secondly, and I'll talk about that for a second in a moment, second, when you think about having the concentration of some of the best higher education academic institutions in the world, particularly when it comes to freshwater sciences and looking at that right here. We're going to talk about that in a second. And third, as companies like Badger Meter and A.O. Smith and others, we have one of the largest concentrations of companies anywhere in the world, more than 120 strong, right here in southeastern Wisconsin. And so we've got all the right ingredients to show that Wisconsin indeed is open for business, particularly when it comes to water business. When you think of an abundant supply and you think about how important it is, I'm preaching in the choir here, but it's good because I often say I want the choir to sing. So if you can help us sing this message around this region, around the state, around the Midwest, and around the globe, thinking about it, obviously the largest concentration of fresh water is right behind us, right? Actually, we're right over it, the Great Lakes. And Wisconsin is the only state in the Union that's surrounded by 2 Great Lakes and the greatest river in the U.S. Thinking about it, between here and the Mississippi stand the 2 largest watersheds in all of America, and we're right in the middle of it. I often like to kid with my friends from Minnesota. Not only are we surrounded by 2 Great Lakes, we're filled with 15,000 inland lakes. That's 5,000 more than Minnesota, and all of ours have fish in them. And so we have a little fun with that. But seriously, for us, that alone is remarkable when you think about where we stand in the global economy. When you think even around the United States, whether it's cities in California or Arizona or even less obvious cities like Atlanta that's suffering its own water crisis in the years and decades to come, we are in a position where we have the golden liquid out there, that being fresh water. And on a global basis, when you think about 17% or more of the world's population is facing a position right now where they're at risk because of not having access to clean or available water, we have it. We have the technology. We have the ability. We have the mindset and the intellectual capacity to make that happen. So you take that abundance of fresh water, you mix that with incredible academic minds and research. In fact, overall, one of the things I'm proud to brag about here in the state of Wisconsin is not just when it comes to water and freshwater technology, but overall, we have one of the largest concentrations of academic research and development anywhere in the world. Last year, more than $1 billion. There are a few places in the world that have that all in one spot. In Wisconsin, we have more than $1 billion of academic research and development. We have more than 100 academic scientists and researchers who focus solely on water in this region. And that gives us a tremendous asset. When you think about it, oftentimes I've talked about companies and making investments in our higher education institutions, particularly in the University of Wisconsin, but our private colleges and universities as well. Sometimes they talk about in terms of contributions or donations. I said they're not contributions, they're not donations, they're strategic investments. Because the return on the dollar with that kind of investment, particularly again when it ties into academic research and development related to water technology, for more than 4 decades we've had that with the Great Lakes Water Initiative here, and now we're on the precipice of moving forward with the exciting new University of Wisconsin Milwaukee School of Freshwater Sciences, one of a kind in the world, right here on the shores of Lake Michigan here in Milwaukee and in this region. That is a tremendously powerful asset. And something when paired up with all the other things, when you think about Marquette University, particularly in their School of Law, when you think of MSOE stepping up, when you think about the University of Wisconsin Whitewater and the water business management programs they're putting in place, all that fits together perfectly to what we're doing to advance freshwater sciences and freshwater business here in the state of Wisconsin, which ties into our third asset. More than 120 businesses here in southeastern Wisconsin whose sole focus or partial focus is to tie into water technology. Again, the A.O. Smiths, the Badger Meter, but plenty of other small companies and big companies and everything in between. That gives us a great focus. Now, we are committed to expanding upon that. You think about that, in this market alone, that's more than $10 billion. That's more than 20,000 jobs related to water technology in this region and in this marketplace. But that's limitless potential when you compare that to the global marketplace out there. What is it, about $425 billion annually that the water technology and water-related services could tap into? We are a leader here in southeastern Wisconsin. We're a leader not just on a Midwestern basis or on a U.S. basis. We're a leader on a global basis. And so to have yet another summit, to have this concentration of talent and excitement and entrepreneurial spirit here today and tomorrow is really something we're quite excited about. Tonight I'm joined by the Secretary of Commerce and the new head of the CEO of the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, Paul Jaden, who's with me here in the back as well. Along with Paul is Scott Bombach, who is the Secretary of the Department of Workforce Development, because we know you've got to have the skilled talent to match that need as well. And the last thing I'll just say in conclusion, not only having my commitment, but that of my cabinet, my staff, not just for tonight, but for all the other activities, working with the board, working with Dean and the staff, working with the M7 and all the other entities that are part of this. But today, Paul and I said, and I actually chair the board for the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and we were giving a report to our board talking about our key divisions and some of the key projects coming up on the horizon. In our business and industry division, we talked specifically about giving an update. And one of the key things for us in the future is having the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation continue to work not only with the Water Council, but with the M7, with our higher education institutions, which we're partnering with from an economic standpoint as well, and making sure that we continue to advance water technology, the cluster that we have here in Wisconsin, particularly in southeastern Wisconsin. You have our commitment to continue to do that with the council, certainly with our higher education institutions, and most importantly these days with what we hope will be many more than just 120 companies, but helping those 120 companies already here, invested here, grow, and helping others, like maybe some of you here tonight, decide that this is the right place to bring your business into the future. Thanks so much for having me here tonight, and let's have a great conference. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.